All right, cyber traders. Hey, let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. We've had a couple of tech issues inside our live trading room earlier today, but if you're on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, etc., I think you folks are good to go. I had my necklace of garlic around me all morning here, making sure that we're good to go here across the afternoon. Looks like we are. Perfect. Great to see Chuck, Felix, Jeff, Larry, Roger, Alex, Steven, all of us just before. I mean, hey, we have had a phenomenal day outside of these little tech issues. Thankfully, it's not a platform issue, nor an internet issue. It was actually an issue with iCloud and our host that runs our trading room, basically. So otherwise, we should be good to go. Mike, I got my good mic on, so I know I'm good here. So with that said, Coinbase up 17+%. One of many trades that have been running across this entire afternoon. If you were down on the morning, perhaps you are already up at this point, if not already at your day's pay. Now, earlier this afternoon, I just asked, hey, did you make your day's pay yet? I asked that just actually a few minutes earlier. Well, 35% of us actually wrote yes. So big shout out to students like Steve and Yehuda, Donald, Felix, Carla, Alex, that ended up making their daily target, their daily goal, whatever number that may be, $100, $1,000. Everyone has their own daily goals based on experience, based on share size. So I know Alex earlier was writing he was in from the Coinbase trade from $96. I was watching this earlier with one of our students, Anthony, and off 95, it had a tough time trying to make the breakout higher. Obviously it did, but that's where we teach you in class and here in the live trading room every Tuesday. The more times the stock is pinning up against resistance, testing it. Well, if it's not making a decisive move yet and it hasn't reversed, and it's giving you the chance to say, hey, there's a chance that this can certainly continue squeezing up higher. So obviously, we ended up seeing this make a really nice run over 95, all the way up towards 100 and much higher. I ended up leaving a lot of money on the table on this trade, just with it now at 102, and it pulled back since. I ended up getting out on this trade right around 98, a little over 98 at the time. Just the more it goes up, you do want to say, all right, let's take the money and run. By the time we jumped in from 95, it was already up like 12 or 15% even perhaps at that point. So, perhaps we could see more, but, we'll take it level by level. Now, Coinbase right away, I'm just going to put on our main watch list just to begin this meeting. Now, with that, obviously, for all of us inside the live trading room, you know that my focus more so than Coinbase has been on Mara today, and really not from the morning session, actually. At 9:30 this morning, I had no focus on this trade. I was more incentivized, or at least I was led to believe I would be, by following Delta. We'll get into that in just a moment. Oh boy, that was a mess. Now, Mara, though, what a delight this was, because by the time I turned back over to this trade, it was actually on my level 4 page. I went over this with a few students one-on-one earlier. There was one line I had on my book map. It was the only line I knew of on this whole, regular chart. I didn't have these lines plotted at the time. And it was at 1725. It was a big print level back from Tuesday's trading, about a 219,000 share print. Well, let me ask us here. Leda, Michael, Yehuda, etc., all this year. Antonio, Brandy, Aaron, all this year. When a stock breaks above resistance and it runs off of it, resistance should initially look to become what? Support. So when I jumped in at 1725 level, my entry was at 28. It's basically saying like I had $1 in a dream. I was like hoping to see this make like a nice push off of it. At least if anything, if it's such a big level, we should get a decent move after. All right, bounced up 13 cents. Actually washed out a little of the money I was down on from the morning on Delta, but then popped higher, right? Mara popped higher here and ended up continuing. And oh my goodness, what a move. So there was actually news that came out, not on Mara, not even on Coinbase as much, on crypto as a whole. This crypto, if you're unfamiliar, U.S. government ended up finally making a decision on them, and they deemed them as not a security. So for the crypto world, that's very bullish. That's very good news in terms of, kind of keeping things the way they are to a degree. Now with that, Ripple, this coin popped like 30%. It was crazy. Now with that, though, Bitcoin moved up. And because Bitcoin moved up, you're going to have Mara moving up. You're going to have Coinbase moving up. You're going to have Riot moving up. You're going to have other Bitcoin mining stocks making a nice little jump up today. Canon, BTBT, Bitfarm. So hey, for right now, I could easily just put the whole sector on our watch list. We'll go through them all at the end. Coinbase definitely going to be featured on our main list. That's the most popular stock of these. Trades the most volume day to day. So that carries great liquidity. These do as well in the order book, but we'll see if they end up making the better pop later on. So we'll come back to all these at the end. We have a couple of other great trades too, though. I mean, what a dreamboat Nikola has been. And still, I mean, geez, this is at the highs right now at this point, taking us into the afternoon. So hard for us to ignore Nikola still at this point. We're on top of this trade really from the morning session, mid-morning. And, obviously since, as you could see, has just made a beautiful trend up much higher. You're not expecting it, right? You're not guaranteeing it. But when the cookie crumbles that way, it's sure sweet. So, if you're able to hang on for that good 30-cent move, 20-cent move even, well, heck, if you got out and still pushing up higher, 20 cents on like $1, $2 stock, I personally think is a really good trade. So don't take that for granted. Students like Steve took 10 cents on it earlier. Kevin's in from 201. I saw that earlier just before. Kevin, are you still in on that trade? One of our gold students here? It's a hell of a catch so far for Kevin and perhaps others right now too. But yeah, Nikola definitely going to put on our main watch list here for the afternoon. Elizabeth held on the whole way through from 153. Whew. Excellent. Kevin says, I got out and I got back in. All right, there we go. So hopefully took some good money and hopefully another pop-up higher for Kevin and others here. So we have Coinbase. We have Nikola. How about RXRX waking back up from the dead here? Ended up making this big drop-off yesterday. So for as active as it was yesterday morning in pre-market, basically filled the gap. And then today, well, hey, had a nice bounce back up, more so in the late morning, early afternoon. As you could see, ended up trending up slowly up to 220 or 1220, I should say. And then from there, pushed up much higher. So, looking pretty healthy here heading into the afternoon. Certainly we want to see this trend off the recent lows continue, or at least build higher lows in general. And yeah, RXRX slip back on there. It's actually only up 5%, but I had it on my bookmap page here, just on the right side of my screen that you could see. So, I just didn't want to forget about that trade, at least there. All right, now I'll tell you what, we're going to run into a lot more. There's a lot more that is up, that is moving with the market. SPY's right near 450 right now, and I think that we're going to push up even higher. I have my next level set. If it's not off psychological level 450, which you would assume, 453. I'm going to keep an eye on nice little lottery number here, 453 on the SPY. I just talked to a student about this actually earlier, one of the students that I ended up doing coaching yesterday with, and they had said, it just, you probably assumed that the SPY was going to move up higher. Not necessarily. Last week, probably didn't have as much sentiment on it as I do this week, but it's just to say that trading is revolved around ifs and thens. If the SPY does this, then I'll think that. So, I thought 444 was the next big level, and it held under it for a little while, and then it popped it, and then the CPI came out yesterday. So if the SPY pushes above 444 resistance, plus good CPI news, then how could you not think that we're going to move up higher, at least for the interim? So, at least for right now, my next resistance on SPY, if it's not at 450 psychological, 453. Keep an eye on that. But for now, we'll keep an eye on the gainers list here. We'll go from top to bottom right now. EDTX, this looks like more like a lottery type of stock here if you're looking to gamble on a freakish spread here. So, it looks like it had a crazy pop earlier, but we'll pass on it right now. Same to be said here on GGAA. Looks like it got halted a few times up, a few times down. Not really my cup of tea. I'd rather just good old Nikola here, right? JZXN, we know at this point is pretty much done for right now. Agree. I saw Steve clean up earlier on this, one of our diamond students here, and he had a couple of nice trades on the stock. Agree. Steve, let me ask you still in on this trade inside our live trading room? Let me know. Nice little move so far for Gree. It's got a bit of a thin order book here, though, so you might want to be careful on that, but up 27%, still right floating near the highs. I'll come back to this at the end. Just definitely one of a few stocks I'll come back to just from our side list right now. All right, before I lose my spot here, let's keep it going. SIFY. Ooh, I like the order book on this. It's only trading 1.1 million shares total on the day. Probably a little bit more than what it usually does, but for like what we scan for and trade for, there could be more life left on this move. It's not really trading a whole lot of volume minute by minute, only about 1,000 or 1,500 shares a minute for this trade, but it has good volume on the order book, making it more of like a non-level 4 or 5 trade, probably like a 1 to 3 category. So another one I'll come back to, SIFY, just on the side list right now. And I cherry pick all the ones that we put on the side list at the end, because there could be trades like this. I mean, better direction here. Nice steady move up for NCTY, trading more volume recently per minute, testing a big iceberg order, has an even bigger iceberg order on the bid right here at 125. Are you kidding me? All right, those are all selling points, at least to put this on the main one here, NCTY. Come back to this at the end, but that's the difference between one that makes the cut versus one that does not, at least yet. QBTS, nice push, nice pop on this trade, decent at the highs. Looks like it's approaching resistance back from like a week or two ago, 237, 240-ish. I like the setup, not bad, makes the main list here, QBTS. Yeah, BBig, another one that's like a Bitcoin miner to a great degree. Hive is another one also. I think Hive, unless if they got reverse split, maybe they did. Oh, yeah, they did. Okay, never mind. So this off its IPO is actually much cheaper, believe it or not, back in late 21, and ended up actually getting close to all-time highs there and then failed, and that's what I remember of the trade. So, definitely nowhere near all-time highs right now, that's for sure. But in terms of a, safe level 1 to 2 stock that can go with like Coinbase and Mara, etc., I'll put this on there too. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 6 stocks already on our main watch list here at this point. So not really at a great need to put like this on, that on, but let's see if there's anything looking similar and we'll consider it. Hut, another Bitcoin miner, making similar move, pretty similar liquidity and whatnot, but we already got the Hive trade. Maybe something that's not like a Bitcoin miner, something a little different variety, right? It's not just all about those stocks here today. Leda asking about the TSLL. I'll take a look at that. That's the Tesla ETF leveraged ticker. So, yeah, pretty good push right now. And let's take a look at Tesla in particular, and up like 1.8%, breaking out once again here. So really mindful call from Leda. I like that. It's not up or down a whole lot, but that is something that, hey, if Tesla is at the highs and you're not trading a 200 some odd dollar stock, then this definitely is a good one to consider, right? So you got to respect it. Good call from Leda on the TSLL. ETF, though. So if you got level 4, I definitely give it a good look. If you are really familiar with Tesla and chart Tesla, I imagine you're going to do well in this trade too. Leda also following up. I appreciate that too, Leda. Thank you. Got Delta earnings from today, which I'll get to at the end. And then you also have bank stocks reporting tomorrow. You got like Citi, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, I think, if I'm not mistaken there. And then next week, even more bank stocks. I think Morgan Stanley mixed in there. Then a bunch of other big cap stocks, large cap stocks, Tesla, AMD, if I'm not mistaken, bunch more. He's not next week, then it's the week after. All right, so let's hop over to the loser side here. There's definitely a lot more that's up that like 5% here that we ask. So if there's anything else that I missed, type it in now, folks. Work together here as a team. So right now on this losers list, TGTX is down big. Had a huge drop in pre-market, ended up trying to recover, but then held off 24, pulled back. Recently here, it has been dropping back down. So can it continue? Chance. The way the market's moving, though, I'd rather focus on an upward move, if anything, or if the stock is like literally hanging off the lows right now, which technically to get to pre-market lows, it's got to fall a little bit lower below 21. It's on our side list. I'll slip this on the side list here for right now. At least I'll write it down, but let's see if there's anything looking even steadier as a short. Otherwise, we'll be just fine with what we got. I mean, this is as steady as it gets, isn't it? RMTI, it's shortable on TradeStation, down 27%. It technically is down enough to where if it fails and if this actually gets some good short covering, maybe you can get a reversal, but it's on such a steady downtrend. It's at the lows. It's pretty much everything I just kind of asked for, right? So it's not really impulsive for me to put this one on our watch list here. RMTI. It's funny how I always jinx myself here. For any of our longtime students like Grant or Michael, Leda, or a bunch of us otherwise. I mean, Jeff and Steve now at this point, Lawrence, I see you there, Felix. I always say this when I'm on the losers list. I'm like, yeah, there's not really much else I see out there. And then, bam, ended up catching just like the perfect trade on the way. We'll see if this continues, but there you go. Just once more. It's funny how it plays out. All right, so let me know if there's anything else, folks. I saw blue just lingering right there before, BLUE. I always check that out when it's up or down decent. Yeah, it does look pretty good as a short, nice little level one there. If you can get the shares, it's easy to borrow on TradeStation, but it's below $5, so it might not be easy to borrow universally. All right, so from Yehuda, NCDY also does crypto mining besides gaming and mobile phones. There you go. The more you know. I appreciate that, because now that I think about like a strong Bitcoin move, maybe I'll be more heads up about NCTY. Cool. See, it's always posts like that you could always learn from anyone here. Students from students, students from instructors, instructors from students, right? So there we go, Yehuda. All right, so let me know if there's anything else, though, folks, all together here. I mean, we're really not at a shortage. So, I'll break open Benzinga Pro, check out all the side list stocks that we rounded up there just briefly. Mara at the high of the day now, or near the high of the day again, trying to make that bounce. It is getting pretty damn close to historical level, folks. And we got close enough already there. We fell maybe like a couple pennies shy of it. In fact, inside our live trading room, I was like blasting the repost over and over. And I got to readjust my line here because it's really 1935. Right around 1935 to 1940, you have a pretty strong support level that built out from early 22. So support should become resistance at first. Now, that's easy to say in terms of basic charting principles. So to be in a trade-off of 1725 earlier, or just otherwise later on just options calls, I may strike at 18. So the more it goes up, of course, you're thinking like, all right, take a little out here and there. Well, that's the perfect area to take the money and run. So I already started to do a little bit of that earlier. And if it continues to make lower highs, I'll just get out. But perhaps tomorrow or even later, I'm not going to be as wishful to think for it. But let's say if Bitcoin really blasts higher, whether it be this afternoon or perhaps tomorrow, I'm certain Mara's going to go with it. So, all these levels are built out for a reason. You got to respect them. But over time, if we continue to see growth and increasement in price on Bitcoin, well, you got to expect Mara to go with it, with as strong as it's been. So, be on the lookout for that 1935-ish, 1940-ish, and see what happens. Oh, let me get to Delta. What a disaster. It's not all about the good, folks. It's all about, sharing the bad too. So Delta had good earnings, didn't they? Delta also raised their guidance, didn't they? What the hell happened? I mean, this is the only stock I plotted out this morning. All morning, I was focused on Delta in coaching with Antonio in pre-market. Afterwards, at the open, I was expecting the drop. Well, from there at 49 and that purple line, that's supposed to hold. So if that does not hold, if we don't see this make a big slingshot off that price very soon after you jump in, guess what? You're going to take a small loss. So in hindsight, was it a great loss? Yeah. And, it's good to mention that, but not every plan works out. I was pretty hyped to trade Delta today. I was pretty confident, not just hyped, I was like very confident that I'd get that bounce. How does that lyric go? You can't always get what you want. Well, you don't want us to get stuck holding on to a trade like this over time, because obviously it took a damn long amount of time to retrace right back on up to that very level. Support becomes resistance. Bingo, bango. There we go. So I got out of that much earlier in the morning, but that's, the stock that I was down on throughout the morning until Mara, exploded with the crypto news. And just goes to show, folks, that plan's not always going to work out, even as good as you might think it could be, even as sound as you think the levels are. All right. So let me know, folks, if there's anything else. We'll take a look at the side list here just at the end. GREE shaking down a little bit. TGTX, could be there, but I'm going to pass on it for right now. The SIFY is still hanging where it's at here. I'm going to put this on the main list. Two off, one on. All right, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 different tickers to work with here. 8 stocks, 1 ETF if we're counting latest TSLL. All right, folks. So, hey, let me know if there's any questions that you got for all of us on social media, any Facebook Live, YouTube attendees right now. Let me know if there's any questions you got for me here. Josh at C2 Trading is the handle. But otherwise, if you're fancy with the phone, just go right to this QR code, just as we post it right here. Just scan that with your camera, and you'll be able to join our live trading room just for a 1-week trial. I know the Fausto's run a couple of different webinars from this week as well. So, we welcome on board any of our new trial members joining us across this week. We made a couple of announcements earlier inside our live trading room. I'll have to repost that here coming up right now as I talk. But for any of our new members here in the Cyber Group, repost a message in the main chat right there. Make sure that you reach out to our office. Call our office right there, 516-280-5350. Schedule a small amount of time with your education advisor. They're going to break down how this all works, the lingo involved, because all of our members that you see here, from Leda to Grant to Yehuda, to Kevin to Grant, Elizabeth, Jeff, etc., are all students. They've gone through the classes. They're going through them now. So as a new member, it's easy to get lost in the shuffle. We don't want you to be. So make sure that you set some time with your education advisor, and they'll be able to kind of explain how everything works, answer any trading questions that you got for us here. All right. You got to learn before you could earn, folks. You got to drink some water too if you want to talk. All right, we're going to finish up here, folks. Hey, best of luck trading heading into the market close. I'll catch up with everyone coming up here